Bach's famous cello suite number 1, Caspar David Friedrich, seasonal skincare and seasonal cooking from scratch. Welcome to the Chic Assignment Check-in on the Daily Connoisseur. Welcome back everyone, my name is Jennifer and this is the Chic Assignment Check-in for the month of November. I don't like to cut corners for the sake of time in the check-in, so this is going to be a longer video. I will leave timestamps down below for all of the subjects that we talk about in case you want to skip around. Also, please forgive me as I have a bit of a cold right now, but the Chic Assignment waits for no one, so I had to film this video anyway. Okay, before we jump into the assignments, I received an email from Daily Connoisseur reader Trudy M, and she sent me this quote from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. You have to listen to this. This is just the essence of the Chic Assignment. A man should hear a little music, read a little poetry, and see a fine picture every day of his life, in order that worldly cares may not obliterate the sense of the beautiful which God has implanted in the human soul. Isn't that beautiful? That just is the Chic Assignment right there, that quote by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. So thank you so much, Trudy, for sending me that quote. It just is so perfect. Okay, so let's get started. We were listening to Bach's cello suite number 1 in G major, and wasn't it wonderful? This is the perfect piece to put on when you need to concentrate. It just improves your brain power, am I right? So if your children are ever working on something and they're not concentrating, or you would like them to concentrate, put on this piece or something like it. You know, it's just brain power and it's just food for the soul. So the prelude of this piece, of course, is everyone's favorite. I think it's just the most recognizable one. So the part in prelude that reaches that apex of the song, that climax of the song, is just sublime, isn't it? It just, every time it builds up to that point, I just want to weep because it is so beautiful. I'm not going to go into Johann Sebastian Bach's biography because I already did that when we studied him for Ave Maria. But I just hope that you enjoyed this piece. And did you listen to the whole thing? I like to have it on in the television in the background while we work, and I listened to so many renditions of it, and it was just amazing. So I hope that you really enjoyed that piece as well. Okay, we are going to spend most of our time on Caspar David Friedrich, and that is how you pronounce it. I was pronouncing it incorrectly, of course, but my German readers were able to help me on this. Caspar David Friedrich, and so he was born September 5th, 1774, and he died the 7th of May, 1840. So I'm going to read to you about him, and I'm going to have his paintings on the screen while I'm reading so you're able to see them. And again, I apologize for my voice. As a German romantic painter, Caspar David Friedrich was a great contributor to the art world. He had a tough childhood, never fully recovering from the deaths of his mother and siblings in his early life. This tragedy transferred over to his art, connecting Friedrich to God, nature, and God in nature. His life events helped mold him into an emotional artist who was almost too connected to his work. He experienced some success in his early to mid-career, but ultimately died unknown and in poverty. Doesn't that just make you so sad when that happens? Okay, it was September 5th, 1774, when soap maker Adolf Gottlieb Friedrich and Sophie Dorothea Betschley welcomed their son Caspar David Friedrich, the 6th of 10 children, into the world. He was born in Greifswald, Swedish Pomerania, on the Baltic coast of Germany, an area that would later provide the subject matter to many of his landscape paintings. Caspar David Friedrich suffered a fairly tragic childhood. His mother died in 1781 when he was 7 years old, just a year after the untimely death of his sister Elizabeth. Aged 13, Friedrich experienced a fate that would haunt him for the rest of his life. His brother rescued Caspar David after he fell into the icy water while they were ice skating. However, in his effort to save Caspar David, his brother Johann Christopher fell into the ice and drowned instead. Oh, that is so sad. I mean, that is so sad. Such guilt plagued the artist throughout his career, reappearing in his later work that focused on graveyards and themes of death. Such a tragedy may have also inspired Friedrich's attempted suicide and frequent bouts of depression. Friedrich began to study art formally in 1790. Friedrich was then accepted into the Academy of Copenhagen, where he copied casts from antique sculptures and drew them from life. He also studied with a group of progressive landscapists who began moving away from the fading neoclassical ideas and embracing the new romantic aesthetic. At the age of 24, Friedrich made the permanent move to Dresden. During this time, he experimented with printmaking, etchings, and woodcuts, but gravitated towards ink, watercolor, and sepias. His first oil painting was Landscape with Temple Ruins in 1797, but he wouldn't return to his medium for a number of years. In the late 20s, Friedrich's love affair with landscapes became more serious, and his trips to the Baltic coast, Bohemia, and the mountains proved an endless source of inspiration. The artist was particularly fond of woods, harbors, hills, and atmospheric mists. So that would be Wanderer above the Sea of Fog. Friedrich developed his own technique of producing studies in pencil, only to later add the atmospheric effects from memory when he sat down with the actual canvas. In 1818, Friedrich married Caroline Baumer, who bore him 3 children. Inferences have been made that his marriage to Caroline was perhaps the reason that more human figures appeared in his work that had previously, and some attribute his brightened palette to the importance he now placed on human life. This excitement with life did not last long, however. Soon it was replaced with a more desolate theme. Friedrich's landscapes were decorated with details signifying the end of human life, and he focused on memorial monuments and sculptures for mausoleums. The details of his brother's death had come back to haunt him. The last few years of Friedrich's life were difficult ones. As the ideals of Romanticism were being replaced, he experienced a decline in reputation and popularity. The man who just a few years earlier was commissioned by the Russian Grand Duke and the rest of the royal family now found himself without patrons and living in relative poverty. To make matters worse, a stroke in 1835 greatly reduced the artist's ability to paint, especially in oil. The majority of his final canvases were executed in watercolor and sepia. Friedrich died on May 7, 1840, at the age of 66. So that is his life. It's just so sad. I couldn't stop thinking about that when I read about what happened with his brother, how he tried to save him from drowning and he died instead. I mean, that is just enough to ruin any human for the rest of their life. How do you get over that, you know? And I'm sure that definitely affected his artwork. But I really have enjoyed studying his work this month, and I hope that you have too. So chic assignment number 3 was seasonal skincare and to take notice of the changes. Now, I don't know about you, but as I move toward fall and winter, my skin becomes very dry, especially my hands. I have such a hard time with my hands. It just seems like every time I wash them, it's bad. You know what I mean? Who else suffers from this? So I do have an eczema problem on my hands, and when I wash my hands and dry them, they're so irritated, and the area around my ring, that's why sometimes I don't wear all of my rings, gets really irritated as well. And I find, because I literally have tried so many products, that only right now the prescription medications from the doctor are helping. So if you have any recommendations for that, I would greatly appreciate them. So I am having issues with my hands being very dry and they just cannot seem to stay moisturized. I have been using moisturizers on them and it does help, but it's more of a clinical problem, I think, for me. As for skincare for my face, the next video that you will see, or one of the next videos, will be on skincare. So I have updated my skincare routine as we move into winter, and I'm actually going really old school on my skincare. You're going to be very surprised by this, but I will discuss that in my next video. And finally, for cooking seasonally, as I'm shooting this, Thanksgiving has not happened yet. It's going to be happening very soon, which is quite exciting. So what I did do this month was cook a lot with seasonal fruits. So one night I experimented with my oatmeal in the slow cooker. So you know I love to do oatmeal in the slow cooker the night before, and when I wake up, breakfast is ready. So for me, it's, I believe, 2 cups of oatmeal and 4 cups of water is the ratio that I use. And I thought, why not put some apple in this? So I actually chopped up 2 apples, put some cinnamon and 2 prunes, I think, and a little bit of maple syrup, and it was so good. It was amazing, actually. So that is a good recipe for you to have. and all of the kids loved it as well. I've also made an apple crisp. That's something that I love to make this time of year. Apples are just abundant. Okay, and something else I wanted to show you here is this fruit salad I made with persimmons, pomegranate, and bananas, because we have an abundance of persimmons and pomegranates right now. So that was the seasonal cooking that I've done. Other than that, it's just been my regular cooking, but I do like to add little seasonal touches. I like putting pomegranates and persimmons in my salads as well, so that's something I've been doing. Please excuse my voice. I'm telling you, I do not feel very good. Okay, so we have gone over the assignments. I hope you continue to do them as the month goes on. Before we close today, I want to talk to you about some artists and writers who have been contacting me, telling me they're inspired by my work and that they themselves have published as well. So I have a bunch of books to share with you written by Daily Connoisseurs, people who love the blog and who are inspired by it and who have written their own books. And I just have to say right now, if you have written to me and I have not gotten back to you, I am so sorry. I need you to know that right now I don't get back to many people just because I am so busy with the children and with work. But I read all of my emails and I just want to thank you for them. So don't get mad. Some people get mad when I don't get back to them. Don't get mad. It is nothing personal if I don't write you back. But anyway, having said that, these wonderful ladies have written books and I want to share them with you to support other artists. So I'm going to start off with this one called In Illness and in Health. Now, I have not read any of these yet. Right now, I am not currently reading any books because I am actually writing something. And when I'm writing something, I don't read anything. But I want to share these books with you. So this is In Illness and in Health, and it was written by Henriette Ivanens. And she is the wife of the man who has done my headshots all these years, Kevin McIntyre. And so Henriette did my makeup for one of my very first photo shoots with Kevin. And she is absolutely lovely. And she has been inspired by the blog and my books. And so she wrote her memoir here. So it's called In Illness and in Health. And this is about her addiction struggles. So anybody who's going through that, you know, who's interested in that type of story would really find this interesting. Her husband donated a kidney to her, so they have a really deep story. So I have not read the book yet, but I wanted to share this with you. It's something that she is extremely proud of, and she is a reader of the Daily Connoisseur. This is a book about very serious and heavy issues, probably not for children, but you know, many adults who are struggling with something like this will find this to be very interesting. Okay, so I've already mentioned Spies, Lies, and Teacups by Elizabeth Arcona, but I wanted to mention it here again because she is a Daily Connoisseur reader as well, and she wrote this book too. Isn't this cool that all these people are inspired to write books? So Spies, Lies, and Teacups, great for Anglophiles. Of course, Amanda Dykes, whose waves these are. I've already mentioned her as well, but she just has resounding success as an author, and her books are beautifully received. Okay, I have two other books that I'd like to share with you, and this one is by Linda Binley, and it's called Beach Glass: Finding New Beauty in What Survives the Storm. So it says the author tells stories of hunting precious beach glass up and down the western coast of Northern America, from the tip of Baja California, Mexico, to an island in Washington state, as well as Laguna Beach and surrounding Southern California shores in between. Her descriptive chapters open with the delicate ink line drawings of each beach where those hunts took place, and musically sketch the people who search the shorelines with her, as well as drawing out all the lessons beach glass has to teach us. Doesn't that sound good? So Beach Glass: Finding New Beauty in What Survives the Storm. So how beautiful. Okay, and this final book looks so good. It's by a Daily Connoisseur reader and big fan, Shannon Beers. Her book is called Awesome Possum Powers: Altruism. Schuler may be a humble little possum, but he doesn't always act very humble. He scrambles to be the best and fastest among his friends. That is, until he learns of an extraordinary power which he possesses, the superhero power of altruism. By learning to put the feelings of others before his own, this unexpected hero discovers he can make the world a better place by making his friend happy. So doesn't this look absolutely beautiful? I think it would make a great Christmas present for your children. I would just like to congratulate all of those ladies on your wonderful endeavors as authors. And it just means the absolute world to me that my work could inspire anybody at all in any form. But enough to write books is just incredible. There you go. Thank you so much for joining me for the Chic Assignment Check-in. I would love to hear more about your findings down below, and I will see you next time on the Daily Connoisseur. Bye everyone.